I was going to come out with a big, happy, fruity hello. The best I could do was one of my happy tank tops. How you doing, Ezra? This is not going to be one of the more pleasant, feel-good conversations that I've had with you, but it's a necessary one. Like they say in the Star Wars movies, to bring balance to the Force. Reigning Woman, amazing to see you. I love it when you pop up. Well, let me do this to give you some context. Just to give you some context. I want to show you a picture of this guy. You see that dude? That's the man that I had to be to get to the point where I could have a silly mustache and spend my days traveling the world and lifting weights and having fun. That's me when I was on the grind. I mean, not that I'm not about my mission now. It's just a very different issue. And I often talk about, hey, Uncle Adrunius, you may want to stay tuned for this and, leave some of your quality commentary, because what I wanted to get into, and I won't take up everybody's time tonight. It's a cool, rainy evening in São Paulo, Brazil. Still glad to be here. The mood might be dour. I talk a lot about success. If you go to my YouTube page, you'll see the word success a lot. You'll see success pop up on, 4 or 5 of my videos, of my descriptions. But I want to talk about what's going to bring balance. Nothing is free. We know that. We know that nothing you get comes without cost or sacrifice. And embracing the grind, being able to really work your ass off to get what you want. We expect those things. We're okay with those things. Just to give you some more context, I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. These are just the ones that have success in the title. Success comes up quite a bit in my discussions. We often have to get to a point where we're engaged in a mode to succeed. It might be hitting that new personal record in the gym. It might be leading your company in revenue for that quarter. It might mean making a personal best at how much money you're going to earn. Time at work by the week. Maybe it's monthly sales. Maybe it's quarterly for your division. Who knows? For some of us, it might be this is the year I go to travel abroad. Not as a tourist, but I'm going to get out and go live in a new country. I'm going to experience that new language I've been studying. Maybe to some of us, success is getting the certification we want in that language. But if I'm going to use language as a metaphor, and I'm going to do more on language later this week or next week, depending on how you look at it, it's Sunday evening here. If we look at language as a metaphor, what's the best way to perfect the language you want to be fluent in? Whether or not you're in that country, you've got to be around other people who speak the same language. Now, that doesn't mean you're angry at the people who spoke your native language. Doesn't mean you don't like them. But what it means is whereas after work, most people want to go out, socialize, maybe have that burger, go to somebody's house and play some video games. You have to say, hey, you know what? I love you guys. Maybe I can stay for 5 minutes to have that first glass of water, but then I've got to get going. Or depending on where you are, you might actually say, can't. As soon as I'm done here, I've got to go to that study group that I put together for this language I'm studying. I've got to go online with my personal tutor for that language. And they're going to look at you and say, great, for the first week, maybe even that second, third week. You might get away with that every day for a month. But when they start noticing that when they say, hey, well, Saturday, we're going to go do this thing. We're going to go to this all-day water park adventure. And you say, well, listen, if you guys can cut it down to 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon, because when I get up, I'm going to muddle through this book in a new language. And I can only go out and have fun after I've finished getting this goal done. You'll find people fall away from you. People you love, care about, family, friends you've had forever. Because they'll look at you and realize you're not normal. You're doing something you don't have to do to achieve a self-appointed goal, even if it's a goal other people wish they could accomplish for themselves. I can't tell you how many people tell me they wish they could learn a second language. And I have to remind them, I'm not fluent in it. I'm still in classes. I'm actually quite bad at speaking Portuguese, but I dedicate the time to do it. Maybe it's that on the way to work in the Uber, 10 minutes online, doing my Duolingo. Maybe it's the private tutor I have. Now let's substitute language for making money. When people look at you and say, hey, wait a minute, this guy is seriously about paying cash for that new car he wants instead of taking a loan. You'll find, I apologize, my internet seems like it's dropping. You'll find you surround yourself with other people who are on that same mission. The only guys who want to hang around with you, or women, depending on who you are, the only women or men like you are going to be the outcasts from their communities as well. Brother Ezra said, as far as the language immersion, read, write, and review. That's awful because write does not even start with an R, but I get the point. While everybody's here, make sure you click subscribe and share this somewhere. Share it on your Facebook. Tag me if you want to. Share me on your Twitter. Tag me if you want to. This is how I get to meet new people. For the people who are here for the first time, this channel talks about three big things. One, it talks about traveling the world, not just my life in Brazil. I get to bring in people from all over the world. This channel talks a lot about, talks about money. I love talking about cryptocurrency. I love talking about debt. I love talking about savings. I love drawing on the years that I spent as a financial professional. And we also talk a lot about big social issues. We talk about giant social issues, things that are affecting the world. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that, Edward. Edward said, let me put that up on the screen here. Keep up the great content. I appreciate it. And remember, the best thing you can do for the channel, not that everyone, I think everyone here has already subscribed. If you haven't, make sure you click subscribe. But I also want you to share this somewhere. Copy the link, put it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, someplace, and say, hey, this guy has some interesting content. Sometimes he talks about money. Sometimes he talks about world travel. Sometimes he talks about social issues, like right now about how to succeed. You have to become a very unrealistically selfish person. You have to be the person that says, I love these people, can't be around them. Maybe it's that buddy who has an average life. Can't be around him. He doesn't want more for himself. Maybe it's that cousin that you were always really tight with. Can't be around him. He's going to be okay where he is, whereas I'm constantly setting these unrealistic goals and achieving them. It might be a parent. It might be both your parents. Not everybody got parents that were ambitious. Not everybody got parents that can see past where they are. And it's easy if they're bad people to walk away and say, I've got to be selfish about my mission in life. The hard part is when people aren't evil. They simply don't know. They've never seen that space. My friends and I would call it looking around the corner. Once you've seen what's hiding around the corner, you can never unsee it. Brother David Pitts, you're always welcome. If you let me know you want a link to join, you're welcome to come up. It's a difficult thing to realize that you can love someone. And we can take love to mean anything. It could be romantic love. It could be parental love. It could be spousal love. It could be brother-sister love, family love, and realize you can't be around them because that old saying, some of your parents said it, some of your grandparents said it, show me a man's 5 best friends and I'll show you who he is. You can't have anybody in that small circle who isn't pointing in a direction that they're working towards. They don't have to be pointed in the same direction you are. They just have to be pointed in a direction and say, well, listen, I hang out with YusefWateef because he wants to learn Portuguese for living in Brazil. I got friends that are, listen, I'm about to hit this personal bench press record for my state. because that makes more sense to him. We can still be friends and have conversations because we know what it's like to be on the mission. Art of Becoming More, thank you for showing up. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us, and I appreciate it. It's hard to say that. It's even harder to pull it off. I've had conversations. I've talked about that here, Brother Dave. As a matter of fact, stream ownership, Jocko. Here's what I'm going to do just because Brother Dave brought it up. If anybody here who's subscribed to my channel wants a copy of this book, which is an amazing book. It's only 270 pages. I strongly suggest you find this guy, Jocko Willenick, on YouTube. He's got a great YouTube channel. He talks about extreme ownership, how everything is your fault. Go read that book. If you can't get a copy, send me a message. I'll get a copy to you. But going back to what your mom always said, Art of Becoming More, if you take someone's 5 closest friends, you don't need to see them. You can find out who they are. Are they lazy? Are they like the dwarves? Is one of them lazy? One of them arrogant? One of them intentionally ignorant, happy to not know? One of them controlled by his vices? We need to do another discussion on that. Everybody has vices. I just decided I was going to narrow down what my vices were going to be and focus on one that I allow myself to have and fight the other ones. That way I'm not fighting 15 battles at once, because anybody who tells you they don't have a vice is lying. Anyone who tells you they don't have a vice and you believe them is a good liar. I had a couple of conversations this week. I've had them routinely with different people. I just think this week, for some reason, maybe the way the planets and the stars and the coronavirus has got everybody lined up, we ended up having this conversation in several different areas. I've had it with different people, and it would all bring up to me some of the difficulties they're going through right now with that, choosing success over everything else. Because people who didn't can't understand you. People who did not choose success for themselves will consistently look at you and believe that you are evil. How dare you have the audacity to want more than what we have here, especially if what we have here is what you came from. If what we have here is what you came for, it is an insult to us who are still here that you wanted more, different, and better. And how dare you do that? Hey, I'll testify for you. I had several people who I grew up in my family say that to me probably in my early 30s, because during my 20s, they thought the life that I live of just this world traveling hedonistic lifestyle was a phase I was going through, and eventually I would come back to Niagara Falls, New York, which is a pleasant town. But once you've seen bigger and better, you really can't go back. That's not an insult. It is what it is. It's simply realizing I want more. And I had people that I loved say some things that I'm glad they were hurtful while I was young. And then I realized, wait a minute, you're criticizing me and you've got exactly what you had when we graduated high school? Oh, thank you for saying that. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Let me read what Uncle LaJunia said. Taking personal inventory of my inner circle was one of the saddest things I've had to do because I had to distance myself from people that I cared about. Can we put that on a t-shirt? Can we put that on a hat? Instead of a user agreement, when you open up a new application on your phone or computer, it should say, warning, taking personal inventory of your inner circle will be one of the most painful things that you do, but it's necessary. Click agree. We already got Reigning Woman testifying. That inventory is brutal because it's a silent inventory. You can't explain to someone that it's not that you don't love them. Excuse me. And it's not that you don't like them, but how do you say to them, I can't be around you because what you have now is what you're going to have next year this time. How do I know? I'm not magic and I'm not psychic. I'm just looking at what you had last year this time, and you've got the same thing. It's hard. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me. Article. If anybody else wants to testify, I'll read them. I had to walk away from a couple friends that was painful but needed. They were happy where they were, but I just couldn't cope with the lack of stimulating conversation, just round and round. Yeah. When people talk in circles and they have nothing new to talk about, if they're still mad today about the things that happened last year that they didn't fix, if they're still mad today, now here's the thing, you don't even have to fix a problem, but if you realize, listen, I'm mad because it rains all the time in my city. Well, you can't change the weather pattern in your city. So you're either gonna have to buy an umbrella and some of those things that go over your nice shoes when you go out, or move. But you can't keep complaining about it. You can't come to me next year and complain about the weather again. I can't be around you. I can't talk to you. I can't, we can't be friends because I want to talk about something new. Maybe I want to be mad about something else this year. Maybe I want to be mad about this year's presidential campaign, or as I tell people all the time, my local elections, because stop the show, the president is important. You know who's more than president? Your local sheriff, your local coroner, local dog catcher. We can talk about that later. How do we get past that? Well, the answer is the answer is you've got to be willing to bleed. You got to be willing to be one of those people that says, I need to find new people and love them too, but be around people who are pushing me forward, who are giving me new things to think about. Let me read what Reigning Woman said. Who you become when you walk away from those who are complacent is a true revealer of who you are and what you need to work on for yourself. Again, that's t-shirt material. We need that on a t-shirt. And I say this because there are some people watching right now, watching this show. Some of them are the people I spoke to this week. Sat there and we shared emotions and shared pain together, talking about, why can't I just get the people that I love to see that it's okay, that I want more and that I can still love them? The answer is, you can't. See, those people, they'll consistently consider it an insult that you have more, but you choose to be around them. When they look at you and say, you have all these options in your life, but you choose to be around me, you must think I'm stupid. I don't know how that logic happens. Brother David had to walk away from family. I'm with you. I'm with you. I did too. But when you go back, you realize something. When I was a young man living in Bangkok, Thailand, I ran into what I thought was an old man when I was young. At the time, he couldn't have been more than 70 years old and looked great. He'd worked for a major computer company in the United States, and he moved to Thailand, got bored being a holiday guy, and just opened up another business there. I believe it was paper. I believe he was manufacturing cards. He just had to do something because a businessman always has to hustle. And he said, listen, I know you're going back to the United States soon. I don't know if I was going back to visit family or for more school, because what I would do is I'd go to school for a couple of semesters, then leave for a couple of semesters. He said, listen, when you get back, I want you to remember something important. I said, well, what is that? He said, it's not them, it's you. One of the goals that I have in life is also bringing people up, encouraging them to be someone new and someone better. That's why I hang around with Ruby. She needs that encouragement. She needs to be a better version of herself. And I've decided that I was going to be one of the people to help her get from where she is to the shining light of where she needs to be. She's still learning how to operate a microphone and there you go. There
That
you
was probably the nicest thing you've ever said about me. But actually, no, I don't know why. For some reason, the default now is not to broadcast the sound through my earphones. So it always defaults with it playing on the loudspeakers in the living room. So have to
it
try
might
and
be in
fix
your
that.
configurations somehow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that because it's annoying. But yes, hello. Thank you for saying something vaguely nice. It was a backhanded compliment, but nonetheless, the closest thing to a compliment you've given me. So that was nice. Thank you.
The first of the month. It's my good deed for the month.
There you go. It's a leap year, right? And
Mm,
stranger things have happened.
mm.
At least it's not April 1st. You know, it'd be like April Fools. Yeah.
So, what part were you able to listen to?
I literally just got here,
Oh, okay. Because we were,
like
we were
just a
talking
second
about,
ago.
maybe you can add a fresh perspective. One of the things that we were discussing was the selfishness you have to become successful. And successful doesn't necessarily mean money, it can mean accomplishing a goal, but how it has that unintended consequence of cutting away people who don't want more, you know. And we got people testifying here in the chat like, Brother Ezra, my parents and sister refused to move despite everything they go through. His people live in a place that's not good for him. He left. He decided, I want more and I want better. Can't drag him out. Can't make somebody. People find it insulting that you have more and you're trying to offer it to them.
True.
What did Brother David say? He said mentorship is a two-way street. Sometimes you learn more about a topic by teaching it or showing it. Yeah,
That's true too. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
I'll say this and see, I have a slightly different perspective, you know this, as far as, the brutality, oh, well, jump on train or just leave you behind, but I'm also not a man, right? So I think that when it comes to men, what we forget about leadership, some people think that leadership is about, well, you find someone and they say, okay, follow me, I'm going to lead you. When in truth, you're already leading by being a man, you are already leading in all of your actions. And it's either, hey, I met you. Okay, well, keep following me because I'm still going this way. And if not, well, then I guess I'll see you later. But women don't lead, right? Well, I mean, you could, but I mean, as far as relationships, social relationships, normally we're not the leaders. So I think we have a different perspective on, these social relationships and just leaving people behind. Now, if they're extremely bad and they're extremely toxic for you, and this is something I had to learn, yeah, you got to drop them, right? But I do also feel as a woman, maybe that's the kind of nurturing thing inside of me, but I won't necessarily just sever ties just because someone won't come with me. It's more like I'll adjust the relationship accordingly, right? So, like, if you're not going to come with me, then maybe what I need to do is speak to you, less frequently. I'm not going to sit there and try to impose my life or what I'm doing on you. And likewise, I don't want to hear you complain about your life because I've already given you a key on how to get out of that. I've already offered you the help on how to do that.
That's where it goes. When you have someone that says, listen, I've got this thing that really aggravates me, and you say, well, listen, I can help you undo this thing or fix it. And I've got some other buddies who have had the same issue. Maybe we can help you. And they say, no, I'm good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And see, that's the thing. Now, I am not going to, there's a whole bunch of reasons why someone won't move right now. And not all of them are negative ones, right? I mean, some of them are fear. Some of them are the fact that people aren't ready yet. There's a bunch of other stuff that you don't even understand that they've got to resolve and put to bed first before they can move. So I won't drop you just because you're not ready to move, right? Like I said, I might adjust the relationship. So, for example, someone who won't leave an abusive relationship, or not even abusive, just a bad one, right? He's just a bad guy, cheats on you, whatever, right? And at first, yeah, I'm sympathetic, blah, blah, blah. But then I'll get to a place where I'll be like, hey, listen, I've given you all the advice I've got. I've literally given you the same advice 6 times in a row. Nothing's changing. So I don't want to hear about it going forward. I'm not going to drop you as a friend altogether. I just want to hear about the relationship. Oh, he cheated on you? Tell someone who cares, right? Oh, he didn't come home for 3 days. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about your fear. I don't want to hear about how this time it's different. I don't care. period. Until something changes, i.e., you leave, I don't want to hear about your relationships, right? But I won't leave that relationship with the person altogether. We can have a relationship outside of these factors that we disagree on.
I think perhaps you have more patience than I do because you can't not feel the pressure when someone is going to complain about the same thing again. I also found that what you said about men leading, this is something that when guys come to me for some of the guys that I mentor come to me for advice, which is generally in the same couple of areas with a few tweaks with each person, how they have to deal with it. And the question I always ask them is, are you giving her someone worth following? Are you the guy she can look at and say, this guy got his shit together, grabbed himself by the balls, pulled up his bootstraps, however you want to put it, and said, I'm going to get out there and make it happen. I'm going to be better next year than I was this year. In boxing, one of the things they would say, and in fighting in general, they have this thing where you get a young prospect that is kicking everybody's ass. His coaches tell everybody, listen, you better fight him now while he's young because he's only going to get better. Jeffrey Johnson, hope you're having a good evening out there, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is are you giving people something worth following? Because when you do become that person and you can say, hey, we were born in the same place together. We go through the same things. Now I've got more experience. I'm successful. I'm accomplishing goals. Why don't you come with me? A lot of people find that as insulting. It's kind of like I was listening to a man who became an attorney after coming to London, England, I believe, as a 9-year-old immigrant from Nigeria who didn't even speak English, and now he's an attorney. And he grew up in a rough neighborhood, a school that was neglected by the government. They got no funding. They got the worst teachers. And he said that when you choose success, when he decided I'm going to become this amazing professional, there is a day when you have to cross a line and say, I have to abandon all the thought processes and people that were part of what I was before. And there was a lot of emotion in his voice. He says, because everyone thinks, especially smart people, they think, I can have it both ways. No, you can't. You look different. You smell different. It's no longer safe for you once you accomplish more. How many stories do we have of someone who went out, left a bad circumstance, accomplished, physically went back to talk, to teach, to do a presentation, and just ended up getting killed by people who lived around the corner from him?
You know what, though? I do think that, again, being a man is different. So, one of the things that it might literally just be psychologically and emotionally more difficult to men because men are fixers, right? So, whereas women are nurturers. So, when we hear you express a problem, we go, tell us more so we can be there to support you. Men go, okay, how do I fix the problem? Right. And so now as a man, as a decisive man now, because, you've taken on this stronger path and you are leading down it, even if no one's following you, you've come up with a solution. You give them the solution. They reject the solution. Well, now you don't get it. Right. I mean, and that's a man thing. Now, I get that, right? And this is something I've actually counseled men in where I say, hey, listen, when your wife tells you about her problems at work, she's not telling you to fix them. And he goes, well, almost every man goes, well, then why is she telling me? I don't understand. That's what we do. She tells me a problem, I fix the problem. No,
Yeah.
and see, that's how men feel. But here's the thing. Women say, listen, you are the trusted person in my life. I can't tell anyone else this. I can't show the weakness at work. I can't tell, my friends or whatever. I'm telling you because you are my confidant, right? And what I want you to do is go, OMG, that sucks. What are you going to do about it? And then hear me and go, you know what, babe? I know you've got this. I know you're going to handle it the right way, and leave it alone. I need to feel heard. That's it. I just need to complain to someone. I need to vent to someone, and I need someone to agree with me that this is horrible, this is shitty, and then I need someone to express confidence in me that despite the obstacles you think I'm going to be able to overcome. Now, I have counseled so many men on this one point, and they go, well, you don't know my wife. You don't understand. But no, well, this is why it's not working. The other way's not working for you. Try this. And they tried, and it always works. And see,
Well,
I see this thing the same way. where you have a solution that people may not be looking for yet. They may not be ready for yet. They may need you to plant the seed now for a movement they're going to make in 3 years. And whether they take that or not isn't your responsibility. You presented the option, they're not taking it. All right, cool. Let me know if you change your mind, and then that's it. And then what you do is you set reasonable boundaries around what you now are willing to do or not with that relationship. So, okay, well, if you're not going to move from that dangerous area, and I know it's dangerous for me, I'm no longer visiting you at your place. So if you want to see me, we're going to have to meet at a different place, so on and so forth. You can set boundaries and limits and change the relationship without ending it altogether.
But we gotta do one thing. Matter of fact, I'm going to show them. I want for you to tell people all these things is important, but I want you to give them some insight onto your field of study and from where your confidence in speaking comes, because I don't want everyone here to only, look at you and just see a classic failed YouTuber. I want them to know you're good at something.
There it is.
And that's why we're talking about the other stuff.
There it is. You knew it had to get slid in there somewhere. But yes, so well, I go to McMaster University. It is one of the top research schools in the entire world. They're actually they taught a lot of things to Harvard. Let's put it that way. And my field of study is psychology, neuroscience, and behavior.
And how does that go with cucumbers and hoism?
Actually, interestingly enough, it does, because see, the thing is that whatever society is choosing to do. So right now what we have are the millennials and Generation Z who are doing this in society, right? Now explaining how it is that society is impacting the individual psyche is literally what psychology is all about. You can't sit there and talk about psychology in a box. You have to talk about the individuals and how the environment is playing a role in impacting them. And actually environment's really, really important. I mean, there's most psychiatric disorders need some type of catalyst or some type of trigger from the environment for them to develop, for example. So, my specialty obviously is in evolutionary psychology. But that being said, we have a really round education as far as social psychology, abnormal psychology, personality psychology.
So you're a clinician? People come in, sit down with you, and
well, no, the school that I go to is literally research. So all of those diagnoses, all of those techniques that clinicians have, they have that because of all the research that schools like mine conduct. And so my goal, what I'm going to do eventually, once I am finished my schooling here, is to go back and actually do my master's and PhD in clinical psychology, because I do want to practice. But I wanted a very strong foundation in the research because I wanted to understand. I didn't want to just have a surface understanding of psychology and the principles and practices and definitions. I wanted to understand where the hell it came from. I wanted to understand, like, really deeply, where are we getting this stuff from? How do we really know this stuff? I want more than just an epidemiology stat. I wanted a lot more. So that's why I chose the school I did.
So when you hear Ruby make a lot of statements about the behaviors of men and women, it's not just nonsense. This is kind of what the numbers bear out that she has seen, and over time she'll give us some more. Oh, look at that! You have a fan.
Aw, thank you very much, Ezra. I appreciate that.
Art of Becoming More said something that I want to dig into. She said, I tend to have more patience with my women friends and will adjust, but with men, I will walk away. It sounds terrible, but I expect them to do something, so I'll walk away. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, good. Because remember, men don't learn from having nice, complacent things happen to them. Men learn from something cold and hard being shoved into your ribcage, and you go, oh, that was a bad idea. So when you say something, don't say something, do something, or don't do something, when a woman is in front of you, it's a great way to figure out how to not fuck up again next time. I always maintain that men wear scars with pride. For men, each scar is a learning opportunity. Man, remember that time She came to me with this issue, and I just looked at her and said, "Oh, I don't know." And then she walked away, and her legs stayed close to me for the rest of my life. You'll learn next time to say, "You know what I think we should do? That chick that's bothering you at work, we're going to go into her lunchbox when she's not looking. We're going to replace her candy with an explosive. And when she pops the top on that Tupperware, bang, both of her hands are going to be gone. And she's going to know not to mess with you." And she's going to go, "Whoa, isn't that a bit extreme?" But then you can look at her and say, "Listen, I got a cousin who's 2 strikes down. He's going back for that 3rd strike. If we put something on his books every week, he will take a lead pipe and explain to her why she shouldn't be messing with you at work." She's going to say, "No, whoa, that's a little extreme." Then she can say, when you say, "Wait a minute, let's take some action. What are we going to do?" She can say, "Well, wait a minute, maybe I can just figure this out on my own." You say, "All right, well, I'll be here when you come back for it."
See, okay, that is hilarious. But I'll say in response to that. Now, I knew a guy, actually still know him, obviously. But he was, I mean, when you talk about bottom of the barrel in his life, that's really where he was. Drugs, alcohol for a very extended period of time. Wanted, he wasn't into the get rich quick schemes. He just wanted to get rich and quick. That type of person. But yet, couldn't, wasn't staying sober, so on and so forth. And despite all of that, I stayed friends with him, and I was very honest and real. I didn't sit there and sugarcoat stuff. And when he came up with, these schemes, I would tell him exactly why it's going to fail and why that's not the key to success. And I would reiterate, this is what you want to do. This is what you need to do. You need to go back to school. You need to do this. You need to do that. I'd reiterate it, and he'd reject it. And so it was. Right now, you want to go back to the bottom of a bottle and being homeless or doing whatever. Go ahead. Every time you speak to me and we have this conversation, I'm gonna tell you the same truth. Right now, I'm telling you that because I think he's been sober now, 6-7 years. This is after over a decade of repeating the same thing on occasion. Now he's been sober for 6-7 years. He sat there homeless actually, but worked his butt off while homeless to pay off his student loans, his previous student loans that he had gotten, so that way he could get financial assistance. Got himself into a kind of group housing situation, went to university. Oh, first he had to go do the upgrading type thing. So he went to college first, which here is a different thing than university. Got his college diploma, got into university, went to university, got his degree. Now he literally, on top of everything else he does, he actually gives speeches and talks about his life story and where he was at the bottom and how he made it to where he is now. And what he does is he regularly thanks me, apparently, which is kind of weird, and says, "I saved his life." Right? I saved his life. I was the one person. I saved his life. And it was because literally I just kept repeating the truth. I didn't lie to him. I didn't sit there and try to tell him, "Oh, it's okay. It's not your fault. You're homeless. Oh, well, this life just threw." No. I said, "Listen, you're smarter than this bullshit. Right? You can do better. And you're stronger than this bullshit too. You're hiding." And he wouldn't like it. Sometimes he disappeared for 2 years because he didn't like what I had to say. But the point is, I didn't really care. I'm still going to tell you the truth. It is what it is. And he always came back. Right? And now he's a success story. And he thanks me, credits me. Right? He's been on the news and everything. And he thanks me and credits me. So when I think about that, right, and I say, okay, there's a reason also I can say from my actual experience, right, that you have to set healthy boundaries. Right? You have to change. With some people, you get to a point. I've given you the advice. You know what the advice is. You could repeat it back to me. You don't want to follow it. All right, cool. Here's how our relationship is going to change in the following ways. But you don't drop them altogether, because one day they're going to be ready to hear it. One day they're going to be ready to take you up on that offer, and you're going to be there. And then you are going to be, finally they're going to be ready. And when they start rising, God, they could rise above you and be the ones now helping pull you up. You don't really know. But what you don't do is decide, well, hey, listen, you weren't ready right now because I was ready to tell you right now. Right? Because just because you are ready to tell them right now doesn't mean that their life and their growth and development is at a place where they're ready to automatically hear it and move. And there's a million reasons why people aren't ready to move today, but that might plant a seed that in a few years they're ready to move then. And actually that was exactly what I did. And he said, "You know what? I'm ready to kill myself, but First, I'm going to go try this school bullshit, prove to her that I'm going to fail. So that way, there really isn't a way for me to be successful. And there you go. Then I'll have, I will have left nothing undone. I'm going to kill myself. That was his thing. That's what he was doing. Right. So he actually started all this crap to prove me
That's a
wrong.
very dangerous train of thought.
It really is. But hey, guess what? I wasn't wrong. And I knew I wasn't wrong. I didn't say anything fantastical to him. It's a common sense of logic. Common sense of logic. And so I guess my point is this, right? Do you sit there and invest all of your time and energy into someone who isn't saving themselves? No, because the thing is, people have to save themselves. You can't save other people, right? But do you cut someone off entirely and say, well, you're not ready to save yourself now, so screw you then? I only talk to successful people. I don't think that that's the way that you actually overall are going to be building a good, strong foundation for yourself and for your own support network. Not immediately right now, it might look like it pays off, but I think in the long term, that's how people burn a bunch of bridges. And they could have maybe made it somewhere, but because they decided. And actually, I was just talking about this. I have a friend who he's been wanting to do music his whole life. I remember when he got his first turntables in the 7th grade. And he's one of those guys. Yeah, no, I remember he didn't even know how to set them up. But he's one of those guys. That's exactly what he did. The second he could find a group that was more successful than the group he was with now, he'd drop you to go grab that group. That's what he was doing. And well, you guys aren't willing to do studio this many days like I am, so screw you guys. And he didn't just like, okay, I'm gonna work with these guys too, but no, like it was like, bye, I don't have time for you anymore. And you know what he's doing right now at 35?
Jeffrey said that's why I have sets of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think what he's saying is he has different groups of friends for different situations.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Because that's the thing. This guy cut off everyone who wasn't more successful than him. And guess what he's doing at 35 years old? The same damn thing he was doing at 17. You know why? Because it doesn't work for you to, what do they call this when it's women? Monkey branching? It doesn't work for you to monkey branch and drop everyone who's not as successful as you or not willing to move the way you are right now in this moment, right? You have different, I love that, different sets of friends for different reasons. Absolutely. And you interact with each of them differently. And you invest your time and resources and energy into each of them differently. Right? You might have a friend that's worth lending money to and another friend you never would, right?
Let me give people a quick definition, which is about monkey branching. It's a term usually associated with women. If it's a woman, she's got a guy, it could be your husband, it could be your boyfriend, and he's not a bad guy, he's doing everything okay, and then she sees this other guy who she doesn't know as well, hasn't really been around as long, but if she sees him as a step up, she will start with this guy, and then when this guy's spinning and he's like, yeah, we can have this thing going, she lets go of the other guy. The trick is she's never going to look at one guy and say, okay, well, maybe he's worth sticking around, or she never learns the lesson that men have a lot of the same flaws, but not a lot of the same positives. So she may get the guy who's cooler, but maybe she loses out on being sociable, or different trade-offs. It's not better necessarily, it's just different. And also you forget about the time of an investment. When you're with this guy and you understand what his flaws are and how to deal with those, then you have to learn a whole new set. And it's a difficult situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. But that other guy, well, he's more successful. He makes an extra 10 grand a year, right? Drop you onto you. Now, the guy that you left the first one, who is making only 30 grand, you forgot to evaluate his potential. You forgot to evaluate his drive and his determination. You forgot to evaluate him and your connection to him. And you forgot to evaluate, most importantly, that when you inspire a man, he can accomplish anything. So what happened is when you dropped that man, yeah, he hit a little bit of a low. He might even have lost that 30 grand a year job. But guess what? 10 years later, now he's making 30 grand a year. But guess what? Now he's making $250,000 a year and he ain't got time for you. But all of a sudden you got eyes for him again. And he's like, oh no, I know what you're about. See, that's the thing. You're burning bridges with people over temporary surface things right now. And these are things that can change at any time.
Well, let me do two things. One is this is not just for Reigning Woman, but this is for everybody. Let's see. I just gave you the link to Monkey Branches. And one of the things that I love about having Reigning Woman around is that she always reminds people who I am and what I do. We were talking about that guy that makes 30 grand a year. Um, Although we can have a conversation about money, 30 grand a year, living in a place like Sao Paulo, Brazil, pretty sweet deal. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to give you guys a 2-for-1. One, when you use that magic number 30,000, I was laughing at it, but I'm going to actually tell people how that's such a great number to have because, let's see, if we go to a video I did with Ed Lattimore, if you guys go back and look at this one, $30,000 a year in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Let's see. No, that's not it. Boom. Go check out Brazil's cost of living expenses. You'll find out 30 grand a year that you can pull in while you're in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You're living like a kingpin, like an absolute kingpin. But what do I do for my meager earnings? I always show people this is who I am and what I do. I'm an editor, copy editor, proofwriter. If you need things done in university level English written, if you wrote a book or journal paper, or college students that need their paper edited into correct university level English. In China, I actually ghost wrote papers for people. I ghost write some websites that you all know and love. I tell people, find me on LinkedIn. One of my favorite things I've been doing, I've got two things that have been going quite a bit. One, I've been writing a lot of resumes these past couple of months. I think a lot of people in the United States are looking at getting out of where they are. And I don't know if this virus is going to accelerate that. But the other is I work with people who do public speaking, especially if they're not a native English speaker, and get them ready for that TED Talk they're going to do or presentation. I tell people when they go to my LinkedIn, don't look at the resume first. I tell everybody to start here. Go to my recommendations. This is where other business professionals testify to who I am and what my level of professionalism is. This is what I'm most proud of. And then you can go back and read about, the cool things that I do professionally. My name, YusefWateef, everywhere on the internet. Feel free to find me. Let's see. Now, just that it sounds like karma. Yeah, when that guy that you left suddenly is doing better, and then you look back at him and say, well, now I can monkey branch back to you, and then it doesn't really happen. And without going too far off the rails here with the conversation on monkey branching, the reason it can be especially dangerous to young women is because they lose time. A new player has entered the field.
Mm-hmm. And just to really quickly just to say here before we introduce the new person, it's not just that they're losing time, right? But what they don't understand is that just like men need to, sometimes you have to stop and invest. If you're not investing your time, energy, and effort into something to grow it, it's never going to be able to get to the level that you're hoping for it to get to. You're not going to ever just step into something and day one be making the $500,000 a year you want to make. You got to invest time, energy, and effort and resources into it. Likewise, when it comes to anything, including your relationship with a man, women understand that if you have a belief in him, and I mean, of course, you can believe in some ancient dude. I'm talking about like a decent guy, right? You have a belief in him, and you invest your time, energy, effort, and resources into that. That normally inspires him, right? Because he's going to want to, in response to your submission to him, he's going to want to protect and provide. It's going to inspire him to do what he needs to do in order for him to grow and to build and to get to that place that you're hoping to get to. But a lot of people, again, they want it immediately right now, and because they see that one-off stripper who suddenly was with a multimillionaire, they want to be that, right? That's not realistic. And that's not where, when you're looking at these chicks who are relationship goals and whatever, guess what? They put in time. They didn't start there. They put in time. I love with some of these TV shows, for example, Like I think Cosby Show did it, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air did it as well, where they said, yeah, you're looking at us rich and special now, but yo, when we started, when y'all kids were small, we were in a 1 bedroom apartment with two of y'all and us, and one bathroom, and the bathroom the toilet leaked, and it was only a shower stall. We're trying to bathe you in a bowl, right? So they tell you, like, listen, we didn't start here, right? No one really starts here. We didn't come from wealthy, so we didn't start here, but you can build to get there is the point. And I love that in those shows, they used to do that a lot. They tried to instill that idea that, hey, listen, it's okay for you to stop and invest in a good man and a good woman right now, and y'all start at nothing but build. And you can get there, but believe you can get there. Invest resources into the right person, and it's going to pay off a lot more than you monkey branching your way into something. Hopefully,
But watch
one
this.
day.
Watch this. I've got the perfect segue for BMT
Oh, hey,
to
BMT.
to pop in. Now watch this. Watch this. Hold on. I got something for you. What you talked about getting from there to there.
That's it. My life right there. My life right there.
Wow, I haven't heard this song in a minute.
Good luck getting this out of your head. Now, here's where that pops in. When you talked about going from there to get where you are, that show was about people who I believe he had a dry cleaning company, and he went from the hood and hustled his way all the way up, stayed with the same. Here's the interesting part, because we talk about women monkey branching. When he had nothing and was washing clothes in the back to get his laundry mat started, he's with the same woman that was there with him getting her hands dirty. A lot of men I know,
Exactly.
when they do that, success requires sacrifice. A lot of them end up sacrificing the wrong woman. A lot of men want to sacrifice that woman that was willing to carry groceries up hills with you before you had a car to get back home to your shitty apartment. Now they get a little bit of money, and they want the girl who can only make a sandwich and fuck. Then they realize, well, wait a minute. How can I trust her with this bank delivery drop? BMT, welcome.
Hey, what's going on? Shout out to the honorable, great YusefWateef. I was drawing you a picture to mail to you. I'm going to mail it to you. So actually, I said, man, maybe I should have just drawing you a picture and saying thank you. Is that more than a normal thank you card? But then if I draw it, I think that's something more. Or maybe I just buy you an anime collection, just send it to you. I think you'll like that more. But also to one of my co-hosts and mates on my panel, Ruby, as always. So this is definitely a treat about selfish. You got to be selfish to be successful. I don't think people understand what that is or know the hours. And I talk about that. I even told about that on my come up before I got to the companies, before I had the money, the cars, and all these things. You know what I'm saying? But I hear a lot of people say, dang, BMT, I want that. I want that. But I'm like, I don't think you know the blood, sweat, and tears that me and the missus have suffered, cursed, and sweared, and gone through, like, a lot. And if you knew what I went through, I don't think you want to walk on the battlefield like me. Like, everybody likes a successful guy who shows off the cars, the Ferraris, and the cheetah sitting in the background with the hot, big-breasted woman. But nobody ever asks, like, what did you do to get there? Like, what part of your soul were you willing to sacrifice to get where you're at? And you see, that's the story that a lot of people don't want to hear. Yeah. They want to hear the good bedtime story. Unless, and sorry, no, we weren't born into it. We're self-built, self-made. And that is the stoicism of being a man and of the stoicism of being a woman. You're going to suffer a lot. You're going to have days where your ass is going to get up early and do things that you're like, man, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? And
Yes.
see, everybody wants to know, well, man, I want to go to Kampala, Brazil and see women jiggle their butts. But nobody wants to hear about the guy who sat in the cubicle busting his ass or the many hours you sat in study hall studying. Nobody, everybody wants that doggone have that doctorate degree and talk about theology and all that stuff and psychology. But hold up, that means I had to take countless hours of studying and actually study, read literature. I watched Ruby get frustrated as people were butchering the word alpha. Now, granted, I've been to sociology class as well as law 101. So when I was hearing people go over alpha, I was like, yo, y'all are nowhere close to it. But, however, when you take a crash course for dummies, it's literally, and so there's no easy, listen, I know people say, I know y'all watch these YouTube videos of the 5 or 3 easy ways to success, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that's bullshit. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. Because the same way you got it easy, the same easy way it can be taken away.
Yes. Easy come, easy go.
See, and that's the thing about it. That's why when somebody works hard with you, busts their behind with you, suffers it out with you, that kind of, it's like, you ever seen callous hands or skin?
Yes.
It's kind of tough to make. It's kind of tough to make those kind of people leave from you, or literally say, "Yo, I'm not breaking from what we built." Why? Because they're like, "Yo, after everything we've been through, why would I walk away now?" Like, it's kind of hard. And see, that's the thing about it, because nobody wants to get their ass kicked in life. Everybody wants that $1 million, but nobody knows how long it takes to get that $1 million. I might not, listen, I know on the path that I'm going right now, I will not make it logically to that probably $1 million or $2 million mark. You know who's going to already make there? My kids or my kids' kids. If they stick to the plan, I'm beating into them. So, but they understand it takes discipline. It takes suffrage. It takes countless hours. Listen, y'all. That's why, listen, success ain't pretty. I know people think success is a pretty girl. She's not. She's a dirty whore that literally is going to treat you like shit some days.
Yeah.
We all like to count the money. But if I told y'all what it might take for you to get certain successful things, you may not want to do it. Because that means
hold on. We cannot let this go on without telling people to go subscribe to your channel. Because here's the deal. BMT drops wisdom every day. Every day. And it's like you say, it's not going to be pretty, but he's going to give you what you need. Might not be what you want. I'm nice to you sometimes. He has no problem opening up the screen and just punching you in the face. The good thing about
nice
YouTube,
to me sometimes.
We can all be friends. It's not like the old days where you had to have one show at one time. Go subscribe to this man right now.
BMT is nicer to me than you are. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because Yusef is very unkind. Very unkind.
What is you all's definition of success? I'll start and then I'll give it to Ruby and BMT. My definition of success was 3 things, kind of like 3 points on a spear. 1, physical competency. I was the fat kid when I grew up. I was born reasonably healthy. I had a lot of respiratory issues. I decided I was going to lift weights and do things to make myself stronger, more physically optimized. 2, success was I wanted the things that money could provide. Money that allows you to not necessarily, I was never interested. People look at me and they see I'm wearing I wear the same outfit I've worn for years, tank top jeans and some white shell-toed Adidas. I just like being able to say, I have clients. Here's what freedom and success means. If a client isn't behaving correctly, I can tell that client they have to find someone else because I've got clients that know me through reputation that can keep my business floating. That's success, right? Success is being able to craft something with my own mind and my own hands that allow me to be alone with myself and not have to worry about it. When I got all 3 of those pillars, my mental, my physical, and my financial house in order, everything else in life just became a cakewalk. Ruby?
I was going to say actually maybe BMT should go, and then me and Reigning Woman could go. So you kind of get the male perspective of success and then the female perspective. What do you think?
Well, I didn't ask your opinion because it's my show. So
Okay. All right. Well,
Man, you are meaner than me. Man.
no, yeah, but he's only a dick just to me. Like it's not to everyone else. It's just me. And the reason why I said that though is because I know that my definition is going to be significantly different than probably everyone's, but I wanted to see if it was maybe on a similar female level, but okay. Um, so basically, my definition of success actually has nothing really to do with money. For me, money's never really been an important factor at all. Like, I understand that it's a necessary evil because you can't live without it. And so, as far as on a monetary level, it would be to be able to live comfortably, like, and reasonably, but comfortably. But really, for me, my definition of success was for me to have a happy, healthy family unit. That is to say, to have the wife and the husband, me being the wife, obviously, who love and respect one another, who are able to fulfill their roles within the family successfully and happily, to model that for the children, and to have children that are going to have a family, and to have love and support, obviously a disciplined path, but a path that is full of that love and nurturing. So that way they can actually, while we are sitting here and we're building not only a home for them now, but a future for them tomorrow, and hopefully building up a tiny bit of a legacy, maybe not millions of dollars, but just enough stability and enough legacy and a lack of debt and worry. When we die, we pass it on to them, and it's starting something that is going to maybe in 2 or 3 generations be actually wealthy, and comfortable, to the point where, you know what, the family no longer has to worry about how are we sending the kids to college or university, how are we able to pay for something really expensive that might need to be done that's elective technically or whatever. So yeah, for me, success is more on a social, psychosocial level, and it had to do with family structure.
okay, well that wasn't terribly unreasonable or strange or out there.
No, I don't think it's out there at all. I just, to me, what I think, right, and I guess we'll see, though, is that with men, I feel like, yeah, having, maybe a wife and children and legacy on that level will be important. But I do think that as far as, career and money, that type of financial and career success is going to be more important to them overall. That's what I think. Well, I guess we'll see.
Okay, BMT.
Yeah. Success to me is simply being able to create and maintain the establishment of your own perception of reality. Whatever I want to, whatever I want to obtain, touch, taste, or have desires for, you know, that is in a sense it, or have a, or be influenced or have that. That is success. That is the whole point of whether it be good or bad, whether you call me an angel or a devil. If I can have it or I can create it like I did with my life, that is success. I'm not looking to be the richest, not looking to be the smartest. I'm just looking to be comfortable in my own sector. So long as I got that, I'm successful. But you can't take from me what I built. I built it. I wasn't given to it. I wasn't born into it. I created it myself. That is success. So that's all.
Wow, that was heavy. Reigning Woman, the lovely, the effervescent. Actually, hold on, wait. While you're introducing yourself, I'm gonna put your screen up. Tell them who you are. Reigning, you there?
Can you hear me?
There you go. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Greetings, greatness, Yusef, and Classic Ruby, BMT, and everyone in the chat room. So, I am Rainy Woman, and I am a homemaker first. First and foremost, I am a homemaker. I'm a family woman. And apart from that, I am a veteran. I'm a war veteran, and I am a digital media marketer, social media marketer, and a life coach. So yeah, that's my that is my channel that you see there on the screen, and I'm happy to be here. So hey.
So go ahead and give me information on
It's
success.
so funny. It's so awkward to funny like to see you go through my channel.
So what is your definition of success?
All right. So in general, my definition of success is setting goals and accomplishing those goals, right? And celebrating each monumental success in between, like not waiting until you accomplish a major thing to celebrate. And then personally, for me, success is freedom. The freedom to move around as I please, the freedom to create a life that I desire, the freedom to just do as I want to do without any boundaries, to live a life that is limitless, right? And that is prosperity. That's prosperity of health, prosperity of my mind, prosperity of spirit. And it is also assisting the next generation to be even better than the generation that I am in currently. Like to leave the world in a better place for me, starting with my family and then also those around me. That is what success is to me.
I was just going to putting up some of the things that was going on in the comments. But before we go into whether or not success has to have an area of selflessness in it, I want to do this. I want to go back to a comment that I don't want to ignore. It was by Tampa Twan. And let's see. Tampa Twan said, "Why can't you get 1 million?" And I want to address this because a lot of people know I came from a financial professional background. I want to say it's completely possible for me or you, Tampa Twan, to get $1 million. Don't even know you. I can say it's possible. But what you learn working with money and understanding how financial goals look different on the outside than they do on the inside, the number of years and the amount of labor it takes to accomplish 1 million liquid, starting from zero basically, is a lot more work than a lot of people really understand. There's a phrase that I hate. It says, back when $1 million meant $1 million. Let me tell you something. To amass $1 million, it takes more than luck. It takes skill, discipline, and a ruthless focus on your own success. Because by 1 million, I don't just mean 1 million in stuff. I mean, when we say I've got $1 million, that means someone who has $1 million liquid they can tap into. Now, here's where we go from there. Working as a financial professional and setting certain goals, I learned that you can actually lead the life of a very financially successful person without having to have that level of income. Earlier, and I'm going to have to show it again. I mean, I don't know whether or not everybody was here when I showed it the first time, but I did a cost of living for just one of the cities many cities that I've lived in. I live in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Okay. And we did, Ed Lattimore and I did a discussion. Oh, hold on. Called Brazil's Cost of Living Expense. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a minute. I've got to go back. It said darn it. There it is. Okay. Brazil's cost of living expenses. A lot of people don't understand the cost of living in a place like Brazil, Thailand, many of the most wonderful places in the world allow you to lead the life of someone who's very financially successful earlier. So when you say $1 million, do you want $1 million, or do you want the life that having $1 million liquid can give you? Do you want the financial freedom? Do you want the freedom to be able to deal with any health issues that come up without worrying about how much money you have in the bank? Do you want the freedom to travel the world? Do you want the freedom to do something you like to do for money as opposed to having to do something different for money? So when you say, can you get to $1 million? I can say, yeah, you can get to $1 million liquid in the United States. But my greater question is, what part of success is having $1 million liquid? Because when you write out all the things that having $1 million liquid does for you, it may be very different from having 1 million liquid. And peace to you, brother Art. Wait, what? I don't, Snuggles, I noticed that I write and suddenly message to you or someone else in the chat appears. Do you think those come via magic?
No, because Snuggles said, classic Ruby, it seems like you text a lot. You look like a professional texter. So I'm like, do you notice that I pick up my phone and I write and suddenly a message to you or someone in the text box appears? Like, what? I'm not texting. I'm literally messaging people in the chat, interacting with the stream. I'm not texting. Like, it's not I just had to. I'm a smart ass sometimes.
Why do you just ignore her?
Because I'm being a smart ass for the same reason you're a smart ass to me. Sometimes you just can't help it. It's just what it is.
When I do it, you feisty. When you do it, it just makes you seem, well, I can't say that word. I'll get thrown off YouTube.
Do you see this? Do you see this?
Ruby the Lioness.
Just watch her.
Hey, Art. Yeah, you fall back. That's right. You do that, BMT. You introduced me to this man. You see how he treats me?
Listen, you and Jay don't treat me any better, so I finally somebody that can bully you back. Y'all don't treat me any better.
I'm telling Jean on you. You see, I'm gonna tell her on you. You're gonna be in trouble.
Oh my goodness!
If I do this, I would have brought Yusef to keep y'all in line on my show. Y'all literally don't treat me.
That's it. You are gonna be so in trouble. I'm gonna tattle on you.
I am waiting for the introduction. Listen. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to wrap up everybody's Sunday. I just wanted to get this out there. I think this is something that needed to be said. I wish all of you could have been there from the beginning. And for the people who weren't able to watch from the beginning, I hope that you can go back and watch this and be sure to share it. What I want to do is give everybody a few last words, anything they want to say to sign off, anything that they want to give everybody a quick insight on before we have to end our stream for tonight. Reigning Woman, I'll let you go first. You don't have anything to say? Oh, are you eating and drinking something? Yeah, because you like to do that while you notice I have timing when I drink my water. Time. Don't choke. BMT. Are you there, BMT? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to give us some parting words to what just happened? What in the hell? What kind of? I don't know what just happened. Okay. He said hello and then. Okay. Then let's go to Ruby.
It's to start with me first. You're stuck. Okay. So, I guess I'll just finish off by saying the thing is that we have to separate the difference between bad influences or people who are actually harmful to our lives and people who are just from, our before time who aren't ready to move yet. And I do think that that's going to be something that we do have to, or we should rather separate, because people who just aren't ready to move yet, or who maybe need to clear up some other stuff mentally, emotionally, physically in their lives before they move in whatever direction, those might be people who later on can be very valuable to you in your life, maybe even in your career. You don't know. And I think burning the bridge of every single person who's not in the position you're in right now while you're there because you're ready for them to move isn't an intelligent choice. And I don't think as, say on a more collective level, you have to think about times where you might have heard some financial advice or some personal advice or something. You've heard it before. It's not like the first time you heard it or the first time someone said something and you didn't accept it. They went, oh, well, he doesn't accept advice. Deuces. Well, no, because they probably evaluated you as a worthwhile and worthy human being who just wasn't ready maybe to make a financial switch up. And so I think we have to do that because I think that's how we are going to build stronger collectives, not by leaving every single person behind who isn't above us or at our level or ready to move when we are, but rather, picking and choosing wisely. And as someone said earlier, maybe even having different groups of people for different things in our lives. Some who are just cool to chill with and watch a movie with, others who are, your intellectual superior who's going to teach you a couple things and lead you in a particular direction. Other people who, they're ready to learn and you're going to learn actually by teaching them and so on. So I think that we really have to do that if we're going to be building stronger collectives around us and strong foundations of people that we know we can rely on and count on because we did all, basically come up together. You're muted.
All right. It's a balance. It's a very delicate balance of what to throw away and what to keep. And I think we all have to experiment with it. Hopefully, experiment young to get a good feeling of what we want and how to balance those things.
I'm ready for some final words now.
That's what it took for BMT. 3 years of hard work, financial budgeting, and thoroughly planning with a team, self-assessing myself to build BMT LLC where it is today. Amen.
I'm ready.
All right, you ready, woman?
Yeah. Thank you for being patient. I just want to say that when you want what you want bad enough, you will do whatever it takes to get it, whatever it takes. And it's not until you want it, like someone said, I think it was Tony Robbins or Tony Evans, when you want it bad enough, as bad as you want to breathe, right? You will sacrifice whatever time, whatever relationships, whatever you have to sacrifice in order to have it, period. And oftentimes you'll find that when you're trying to make any changes and when you're trying to grow to different levels, that's exactly what it takes also. It takes you growing. Who you are right now is not enough for you to get what it is that you want, that you're striving for. And when you're ready, when you're really ready, and you're ready to even walk away from people who are not able to assist you in getting to those levels, the other people that you need to help you, the mentors, the coaches, the teachers, they'll be right there waiting for you and ready to work with you. But they cannot do it until you're ready to receive.
Wow. Wise words. Listen, thank you. Thank BMT to pop out early. Thanks to Ruby. Was able to watch. I appreciate everyone. Thank you for helping this channel grow. I'm proud to tell people this channel has grown very slowly, but it's grown with people with a big interaction. Keep sharing it. Keep coming by. Make sure this stays in your feed. I love you all, and I hope you all have a great night. We're going to stick around and do a little trash talking where you can't hear us.